the faculty advisors to the Miami Youth Climate Summit Leadership Board. I am also a science teacher here at Ransom Everglades School. We are broadcasting today's program live from the Fernandez STEM Center here at the Ransom Everglades School Upper School campus. We are so excited you are joining us today, and we are so happy you are here. We would like to take this opportunity to thank Head of School, Mrs. Penny Townsend, and everybody here at Ransom Everglades School for making this event possible. Let's take a look inside of the Fernandez STEM Center, where all the magic is going to happen today. Please join me. We are now inside the Fernandez STEM Center. This is where all the magic is going to happen today. This is where all of the workshops and keynote talks are going to be broadcasted live from. This is one of the rooms where some of the workshops are going to be broadcasted from. Our student leadership board members, together with our faculty advisors, and also the Ransom Everglades Technology Services Department, led by Chief Technology Officer Linda Lawrence, will be working together to bring you our virtual summit. This is where the magic is going to happen. We hope that you enjoy today's program and learn a lot about climate change. Please enjoy and welcome to the Miami Youth Climate Summit.
Alrighty. Hello, everybody.
Welcome to the 2021 Miami Youth Climate Summit.
Thank you for coming.
I'm Gianna Hudden, a co-president of this year's Miami Youth Climate Summit.
And I'm Lalo Darmas, also co-president of this year's Miami Youth Climate Summit.
And I'm Analysse Humaran, Vice President and your moderator today. I'll be walking you throughout the wonderful speakers and amazing sessions that we've put together for all of you today. Now, live from Ransom Everglades High School in Miami, Florida, let's hear a little bit more about MYCS from our very own co-presidents, Gianna and Lalo.
The Miami Youth Climate Summit started a mere 3 years ago at a single high school, and we've grown so large, with 8 schools represented in our leadership team, and over 1,000 attendees tuning in today, spanning over 16 countries and 6 continents.
Our event was founded with a mission to provide people with the opportunity to learn about climate change, and do so through a variety of unique perspectives that would help cultivate a more comprehensive understanding of this crisis. But even more importantly, we hope to elevate the discussion on climate change from what is it to what can we do to stop it.
I first learned about climate change in 8th grade, but it wasn't until 10th grade in my AP Environmental Science class that the urgency of this crisis really settled in with me. Through this education, I wanted to make a difference, and one of the venues I did so through was Miami Climate Summit. And now we really want to encourage others to bring about change through education, as it did for me.
So I first got involved in the climate movement around a year and a half ago through an event very similar to today's, the 0 Hour Youth Climate Summit. The event exposed me to the urgency of the climate crisis and empowered me to take action however possible. Since then, I've gotten involved in my school's Environmental Action Club, various grassroots organizations, and of course, the Miami Youth Climate Summit. Just as I've taken climate action in my own community, you can too.
Thank you, Lalo and Gianna. Now, before we move on, I'd like to let you all know about some prizes that'll be up for grabs today. If you check out the HOVA app, under additional resources, you'll see the leaderboards. Here, you can earn points for being engaged throughout the day. This includes typing questions in the chat, giving session feedback, or messaging a friendly hello to one of your fellow attendees.
There's also a photo contest where you can submit your own environmental photography for everyone to see.
And the caption contest, where you can add creative captions to the different photos people upload.
So if you win on the leaderboard, the photo contest, or the caption contest, you can receive some free beeswax wraps on us.
Beeswax wraps are awesome. They're reusable, beeswax-based, environmentally friendly sheets to wrap up and seal away your food.
Everyone, we just want to see you engaged and active throughout the day.
Alrighty, so let's kick this day off to a start. We're going to move forward and get into our first keynote speech with a little short introduction by Gulliver Preparatory Academy, a local Miami high school that's contributed greatly to today's event. So I'll share my screen and let you all take a look.
Good morning and welcome to the 2021 Miami Youth Climate Summit. I'm Frank Steele, head of school at Gulliver Preparatory School, and we are thrilled to be the premier sponsor of this year's event, the third annual Miami Youth Climate Summit. A special thank you from me to all of our partner schools for arranging and making this conference happen. We are so excited to be here again, working with our talented young people to think about issues of climate change, and particularly how here in a place like Miami, water is really part of everything that we do, and it's so important that we have young people who are interested in trying to protect our environment. We have a number of great speakers who will be working with our students, and we are excited to be a part of it. And with that, I will turn the microphone over to my wife, Betsy Steele, who has been involved with this effort since the beginning, and will introduce our first keynote speaker. Betsy?
We are so lucky to have South Florida native Delaney Reynolds as our keynote speaker today. I first met Delaney in 2017 at the March for Science. She was there introducing us to her blog and nonprofit organization, the Sink or Swim Project. At the time, Delaney was still a student at Palmer Trinity and had already done a TEDx talk and written 3 children's books about the fish, birds, and animals around her home on No Name Key. Currently, Delaney is at UM, majoring in marine science and minoring in climate policy. As a full-time student, she still has time to lecture students and groups of all ages on the importance of stopping climate change and sea level rise. Her political advocacy and lobbying have impressed our politicians here in Miami enough to revise budgets and create Miami-Dade's first Chief Sustainability Officer. Delaney believes that kids get it, and no matter your age, you can make a difference in your community. As a leading activist on climate change, she has won many awards and spoken at the United Nations. Thank you for being with us today and all of your hard work. I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
All right, thank you everybody so much for introducing our amazing guest speakers for today. Now if Delaney Reynolds, you would unmute and go ahead and kick us off. Delaney, are you good? Do you need any help? All right, so Delaney's here.
So you're gonna wait a minute.
Let's find her. Awesome. So we've got everything taken care of. Now, before she starts, we're going to take a little 7-minute intermission so you guys can get to know that Hoover app, check out our website, and think about those leadership boards, the photo contest, the caption contest, and get started working on those. Be back and ready to hear Delaney Reynolds at 9:15. Thank you, everybody.
for our first 9:20.
Alrighty, everybody. So while we wait to start, Delaney Reynolds, our first keynote speaker at 9:20. Let's get some active. I want to hear you guys speak. So put in the chat, tell me where you're from. Tell me why you're here at Miami Youth Climate Summit today. I want to hear about you guys. So throw that in the chat. I'm watching it at all times, so I'll see everything you guys are telling us. Now, while we wait, if you are having trouble finding the leaderboards, the photo contest, or the caption contest, remember that there is a HOVA app for you to download. Everything should be super easy to find. Otherwise, go scrolling through the website. There's some super cool features, including session feedback. So as we go throughout the day, feel free to leave feedback at any of the sessions or workshops that we have going on today. We have this as an annual event, and we always want to hear what you think so we can make it bigger and better in every consecutive year.
I see we have a Q&A actually, Annalise.
That is awesome. So we have people from Coral Gables, Florida, Miami, North Carolina. I see some Denver, Colorado. That place is beautiful. We have so many different schools. Tell us how old you guys are, what grade. We've got a lot of like 10-year-olds to 18-year-olds, college kids, educators, super diverse. Oh, that's awesome. We've got a 12-year-old in here. That's great, guys. Thank you so much for being so active on the chat. Want to hear all about you. If you guys have any questions you want answered before we get started with our day, throw that in there too. Woo, I love to see that. We got an 8-year-old. Oh my God, I love how interested you are in climate science. Even though you're so young, there really is no age restriction on what you can do to impact your community, guys. And we got some 63-year-olds. That's amazing. Again, doesn't matter how young or old you are. Thank you so much for attending today. Throw in there how you heard about us. Where did you hear from us? Was it on our Instagram? Did you hear from a friend of yours?
A teacher maybe?
A teacher maybe, one of your close buddies. Oh, that's awesome.
I see some Instagrams. I'm glad our social media team will be very happy to hear that.
If you don't already, please follow our Instagram, and our Instagram handle is
youthclimate.mia.
There we'll be posting all the information you'll need throughout the day. It's got the schedule. It's got a little intro about all the speakers that we're going to be having throughout the whole day. Additionally, after the summit, we'll be sending you guys some really cool opportunities for you to get in on the action, to get in your community and make real change. So keep updated, because not only will we have things for you to do today, but every day until the next summit next year. Hey, we've got some teachers. That's amazing.
Oh, I see an APES teacher. Thank you to our fellow APES teachers.
Cool, yeah. I'm so glad the teachers are getting the word out. You know, they're a great connection to the youth. That's awesome, guys. If you have any questions, throw it in there too. Gianna, Annalise, Lalo, direct it at any of us. Beautiful.
I think we have another Q&A, Annalise. Check it out. Oh, we got to thank you. Someone said thank you.
Thank you, yes.
Thank you for attending.
We are. You guys made this all happen, and we're so excited to have you here today. Woo! Ellen, I see you raise your hand. If you have any questions, throw it in the chat. I'm looking. We'll answer them. We want to be super active. We want to know what you guys are thinking. Yes, oh my God, of course. You don't have to thank us for doing this. We want to do this. We want to get you guys engaged, educated, inspired. We want you to be empowered to take action and make change in your different communities. Awesome. So it is 9:20 and we're about to get Delaney started. Give us 2 seconds so that we can get on with our first keynote speaker. Alrighty, take it away, Delaney Reynolds.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you everyone so much. Good morning. Allow me to start by first saying a huge thank you to Mr. and Mrs. Steele for their amazing
Delaney,
introduction.
we're having a little bit of troubles hearing you.
Okay. Is this better?
All right, all good, thank you.
Okay.
Everyone
Awesome.
else can...
Sorry about that, guys. Good morning, everyone. Allow me to start by saying a huge thank you to Mr. and Mrs. Steele for their such welcoming introduction. It's great to see you both again. And of course, thank you to Dr. Ginas and Dr. Kelly Jackson for inviting me. And of course, to Lalo, Gianna, and Analysse for inviting me to speak today, and everyone who worked behind the scenes to make this summit a reality. This is such an amazing idea and such a great opportunity for all of us here in attendance today. So I'm so excited to be here with all of you. And of course, thank you for attending and making our climate crisis such an important priority in your life, and especially the role that we play in solving it. Over the next few minutes, I am going to tell you a little bit about myself, about some of the things that I do and have done, my work, and some of the recognition it's received. But I want to start by explaining very clearly that the only reason that I am sharing my story with you is not to sit in front of you and talk about myself, but because I hope that some of you, even if it's just one of you, will leave here today and think that if Delaney can do the things that I'm about to share with you, then so can you, each and every one of you. You see, I'm going to share some cool things with you, but nothing that I've done or am doing is all that special. Each of you have the ability to change your community, to change the world. And I hope that when you leave here today, you'll think a little bit about that and decide to pursue your passions, whatever they may be. So as you heard, my name is Delaney Reynolds, and I am a 21-year-old senior at the University of Miami, where I am pursuing a double major in marine science and coastal geology, as well as a minor in climate science and policy. In just a few months, I'll actually become a dual PhD and law student at the University of Miami's Graduate School, also studying climate change and its impact to our environment and society. I'd like to tell you a little bit about my work, as well as why I believe that our climate change crisis is the most significant challenge that our generation will ever face in our lifetimes. So what you're seeing on screen right now is Matheson Hammock Park, a public park and saltwater swimming lagoon not too far from my home that I'm sure some of you who are also from Miami have probably even visited. It's a place where, like my father before me, I learned how to swim. It's a place that my family and countless others have treasured for generations. On the left of your screen is me at age 2, rocking the Elmo bathing suit and enjoying a French fry. Not too much has changed, to be honest. And the video on the right is from the park during a king tide flooding event. So I'm standing on what used to be a road that sea level rise in recent years, along with Hurricane Irma in 2017, wiped out. NOAA predicts that the current sunny day flooding, that just like what's shown in this video, happens about 6 to 8 times per year in South Florida. But by 2030, by the time that I'm about 30 years old, we could experience flooding just like this 80 times per year. And by 2045, by the time that I'm about 45 years old, NOAA predicts that we'll see 380 flooding events just like this one per year, sometimes more than once a day during the 2 high tides. So this is all during our lifetime. I'm the 4th generation of my family to live here in Miami. Growing up in South Florida, I've split my time between Miami and a 1,000-acre island in the Florida Keys called No Name Key that has just 40 solar-powered homes on it. In a way, you could say that my life has literally been surrounded by water, and that's where my love for nature and the ocean has come from. And my passion for our natural environment ultimately led me to write, illustrate, and publish 3 children's books on ecology topics in between elementary and middle school. And while I was researching for those books, I learned about climate change and decided to write my 4th book on sea level rise. I began by interviewing scientists, business owners, and policymakers to learn what they were doing about the problem and how they were being impacted by it. And the point of the book is to tell stories about real people who are being impacted by climate change in our community, whether it's business people or residents. scientists or policymakers and to show that this is actually happening and to talk about how we go about solving it. I then took a class at my high school, Palmer Trinity School, led by Dr. Ginas, called the Academy of Agents of Change that absolutely changed my life. The class required each student to create their own sustainable initiative, and thus I integrated the book that I was writing about climate change into the course and ultimately created what I like to call the Sink or Swim project. I took everything that I was learning, including the fact that I felt that young people weren't aware of the magnitude of what was happening just yet, or what we needed to do to solve the problem. And that's why I founded the Sink or Swim project. It's now a nonprofit organization that aims to educate people about climate change, as well as, of course, seek solutions to try and save South Florida and places just like it before it's too late. My goal is to educate as many people as possible, especially children, the youth generations, about our climate change crisis. I've lost count of how many thousands of kids I've given lectures to at this point, but if you ever stop and think that no one cares about this topic or the science, just take a second to think about how many youth are in attendance at this summit today. I think Gianna said there's over 1,000 of us here. It's undeniable that we care about the climate change crisis. So of course, as enthusiastic as we all are about climate change, that's not the case with some adults, especially some of our political leaders. Here in the state of Florida, our former governor refused to do anything to address the problem and even banned government officials from using phrases like climate change, sea level rise, and global warming. As you may know, we now have had a new governor since 2018, and he has taken a different approach by actually talking about environmental issues and appointing brand new positions. This has given a lot of people hope that things would be different under his administration, and he still has time to make that case, but I haven't really seen any indication that he will commit fully to addressing the core cause of climate change, which is fossil fuel emissions. For example, he did create the Chief Resilience Officer position, whose position he filled with an expert in Homeland Security, who less than a year later into her position left to work for former President Trump in Homeland Security. So it's a little interesting. And it's actions like that that have led me to get involved with and even try to circumnavigate the politics. Because of the lack of political action or will here in Florida during my lifetime, 7 of my friends and I have filed a lawsuit against the state of Florida and its leaders because we believe that the state is not upholding its legal duties to protect our water, our land, environment, and our atmosphere by burning fossil fuels and releasing large amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. None of us ever, of course, expected to sue someone for anything, but we each believe that we're running out of time. And we have to do everything possible before it's too late, and we're forced to watch our planet burn, sink, and die. Although we filed over 2 years ago in 2018, we just had our first hearing this past summer, where the judge acknowledged the state's motion to dismiss the case. And unfortunately, the judge did rule to dismiss our case, but we're now working together to file an appeal at the First District Court of Appeals. So our case is very far from over, and my co-plaintiffs and I are still very optimistic and hopeful for the future of this case. The Trump administration had also fought a very similar federal case tooth and nail every step of the way. But young people, just like all of us, we have to start somewhere. Even if it will be a hard and long fight, that's just how social justice is achieved. It's never easy, but it is definitely possible. It's an extremely aggressive approach, but youth all over the world have proven that it's possible to work with their countries and governments to address their concerns over the climate change crisis. For example, this group of children in Colombia have provided our planet tremendous hope by recently winning a lawsuit in which their country has now vowed to protect the Amazon rainforest for future generations. And another group in the Netherlands won a lawsuit ruling that their national government must reduce their carbon emissions in the country by at least 25% before 2020, which was last year, compared to 1990 levels. And these victories have inspired similar climate-related litigation in dozens of other countries, including Canada and New Zealand, but they're happening everywhere, which is very exciting. Now, why are young people taking such actions? The reality that we face requires us to think boldly and to be aggressive. Many politicians are concerned about protecting antiquated technologies, fossil fuels, than they are about protecting our future. Think about the fact that just recently, leaders in Texas were attacking renewable energies for causing the power outages they experienced after the latest major snowstorm. Well, the facts are that only 39% of Texas's power is renewable. And even then, that has little to nothing to do with their outages. Their supply of natural gas, which supplies about half of Texas's electricity, seized up due to frozen pipes and a lack of standby reserves. The power grid failed after about a third of their power company's total capacity, which is supplied by coal, natural gas, nuclear energy. It went offline because demand for heating dramatically surged. Of course, everyone's cold. So while some wind generators did go offline because the turbines iced over, the state's largest grid, the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, they even said that the shortage was driven by a failure not of renewable sources, but of traditional thermal sources, coal, nuclear, and especially natural gas. So we have a very long way to go in transitioning our society and economy from one based on fossil fuels to one based on renewable energies. But here's the good news. We've gone through a major societal shift before, and we can do it again. None of us travel around by a horse-drawn buggy or wagon, but if it were the 1700s, then that was the state of the art in transportation and is exactly how we would have traveled. If it were the late 1800s to early 1900s, then chances are you might get around in a new invention called the automobile, like this one. And I suspect that some of the same people who made those carriages or cared for the horses, drove the wagons, they had to find new jobs in the innovative new automobile industry. Now, before long, in just a few years, I suspect that most people will be driving cars like this one, powered by a battery. People adapted and they transitioned. And that is the exact same thing that we must do in the energy industry. And it's already beginning. Car manufacturers and companies such as General Motors, Ford, Honda, Volkswagen, and Jaguar have all begun to shift towards selling products that are solely electric. Now here's some more good news. After 4 years of climate inaction and denial, on January 27th, Climate Day, President Biden signed many executive orders, 4 of which are climate related and aim to tackle a few things. Number 1, international measures, which include steps such as rejoining the Paris Climate Agreement, which we now have officially done. Number 2, domestic measures, including the formation of the brand new White House Office of Domestic Climate Policy, a pause on new oil and natural gas leases on public lands or in offshore waters, the elimination of fossil fuel subsidies within the federal government, and much more. Number 3, environmental justice, which addresses racial equity and the broader societal impacts reliance on fossil fuel production have had on certain communities. And number 4, scientific integrity. He has committed the Biden administration to listening to science. What a crazy concept. President Biden also has a $2 trillion climate change plan to achieve a carbon-free electricity sector by 2035 and nationwide net zero emissions by 2050. To achieve these ambitious goals, however, President Biden must work through politics. He has to rely on Congress to pass sweeping legislation, which will be difficult because we now have an evenly divided Senate. But if President Biden were to declare a state of emergency, it would allow him to secure additional funding to fight the climate change crisis. Thus, he could circumnavigate Congress and enact portions of his climate plan. So there's good news all around. Like I said, this is our reality now, and it's only going to get worse. So we need to focus on the solutions that cut back our carbon emissions, as President Biden is aiming to do. A great example of that is solar power. Scientists predict that 50%, half of Florida's energy needs, could come from the sun by 2045. All of our lifetimes, if we were to just start taking that goal seriously. That could happen in our lifetime. After learning about multiple solar ordinances in California, I thought that could be a cool idea here in the Sunshine State of Florida, as we're known. So I wrote a letter to about a dozen mayors here in South Florida, and I asked them if they would be interested in writing something similar. And the mayor of the city of South Miami, Mayor Stoddard, was the first to respond. And so he and I began to work together writing our very own solar law. After working for many months on the law, here on your left, I'm speaking in front of the commission and the mayor in support of the solar ordinance. And a few months later, South Miami became the very first city in the state of Florida, and Florida the second state in the United States to have a law that requires that any new construction of a house or material renovation of an existing house must install the maximum amount of solar panels on their roof. Now, while I can vote now, I didn't yet have a vote when I helped Mayor Stoddard write this law and implement it. So if you would like to create a solar law in your very own city to help make our planet a more sustainable place, this is something that any of you can try to do regarding any sort of topic that you're passionate about. It starts with you reaching out to your local politicians, mayors, commissioners, etc., and getting involved. As I conclude my comments today, allow me to take you back to Mathis and Hammock one more time. As much as I love the place and places just like it all over South Florida, I do hope that the day will come when sea level rise does not threaten our region's very existence. I would welcome the opportunity to work on something other than filming videos at dawn on a Sunday morning like the one that I showed you earlier. And as much as I love the magazine, I'd be happy to not spend the day in a dress climbing in the mangroves and swimming in salt water during a National Geographic photo shoot just to bring awareness to our climate change crisis. It'd be great to not have to do those things. But I will continue to fight this fight for as long as I have to. And I would encourage that all of you fight this fight with me, to not give up hope, to realize that we will have setbacks, but what we're fighting for is far too important to give up hope. All over the planet, youth are standing up and using their voices to speak on behalf of our Earth, because we're fed up. We're tired of the inaction. That's why we're all here today, to learn how we can do even more. And that, to me, gives me the greatest hope for our future. Hope that the youth that we see all over the world, that you in this meeting room will one day replace our current politicians, and we will finally see progress in the right direction being made. I want to encourage every one of you to continue fighting, to continue to have hope no matter how dark things are on a given day. I mean, what choice do we have? We must protect these special places, because if we don't solve this problem, cherished places like Mathis and Hammock, Miami Beach, the Florida Keys, the Everglades, they'll disappear. They'll be lost forever. They could become extinct. Our children will never get the chance to learn how to swim in a place like Matheson, and that is simply unacceptable. Thankfully, I am positive that if you simply pursue your passions, if you are willing to truly make sacrifices, each of you can make a difference. No matter who you are, where you are from, or what your challenges might be, you have a voice. And it's my experience that people will listen to you. If you don't speak up and out, then none of us have the right to complain. But if you have a concern, an idea, a passion,